Hello there and welcome back. Today we have a bunch of news for this episode and I don't want to spoil them in advance, so let's start with the first one. GM's EV sales have dropped sharply. General Motors has published its first quarter sales numbers. And yes, Chevrolet took the hardest hit from the falling demand of EVs. Sales of battery-powered Silverado were down 41%, while the Blazer EV crossover collapsed by 82.6%. Demand for revived Volt also fell short. They sold only 791 units in 3 months, and with such sales it's not that much. And it's such a pleasure to say such words like they sold only 700 units. It's so nice to hear those sales are falling. They just fly out of tongue so beautifully. But anyway, the next one is Cadillac. They also have reported for a drop in the EV segment. Lyric, their EV, experienced drop more than 20%, and the Escalade EQ was down nearly 27%. The relatively recent update OptiQ did some boost up in demand and the sales grow a little bit, but overall, despite the fact that the boost was 66%, overall Cadillac is down 25% on EVs. Remember when we talked about Factory Zero, the zero-emission factory? That's a GM factory where the future was supposed to happen in the form of electric hammer. Well, that future, one more time again, in the fucking past. Because apparently nobody needs an electric hammer and the plant either. GM is basically now saying, look, we already paused our plan for 2 weeks in the end of March. In March, we weren't building anything. Factory Zero supposed to be zero in emissions, but now it's just zero in production. And after thinking it over again, they thought that maybe they should close this plant for a little bit more than just 2 weeks in March. So the plant will be closed until 13th of April. Everyone connected to manufacture know one thing. When you build a plant, you can't close it so easily. This is just absolute last thing you want to do with your plant. You do whatever you have to do, run fewer shifts, make the production slower, just scrape by somehow, but keep the line moving. Stopping production at a manufacturer plant is a problem because the whole point of manufacturer plant is that you manufacture at least something. And the most important part is that the Factory Zero, the plant that was supposed to produce electric hammer and bunch of other EVs, is a historic site. It used to be called GM Pole Town. That plant was originally opened in Detroit by Dodge Brothers, the actual original Dodge Brothers back in 1911. Over the course of history, this plant builds very different things. And I'm actually going to read what kind of things they were making there from Wikipedia. I guess Wikipedia still counts as a source of information that we can trust in. So let's start, and first thing that we have is a Dodge Dart, Impala, Cadillac CD6 and a Malibu. For 100 years that plant built automotive stuff, and now it builds nothing. No automotive, no electric, just nothing. Not anything until April 13. The plant is just sitting there until April 13. And of course there is just no reason to think that the guys on one random Tuesday will wake up and say, holy shit, we have so much work to do, we won't even able to keep up with the demand. Unlikely, no. And while I was digging through the story, I found something interesting from 2021. An official GM promo for Hummer in Canada. In the marketing material it says, Overall, our goal is to create EVs that are capable, tough and dependable as the people who drive them. Customers will choose EVs because this is the best option for the work and a home. If you doubt that, give us a chance to prove that you are wrong. And when you read that in 2026 and looking back in 2021, you realize that yeah, we did give them a chance. To be fair, nobody really asked us about that, but personally I would say that their attempt to prove that we were wrong, their attempt was kinda weak. BYD has laid off 100,000 employees as a part of a massive restructuring. 1,100 people. That's what I called a scale. All those communists who will keep lecturing me about unions. So what do you think about this? 100,000 people were thrown just in one move. Off you go. Enjoy the streets. We just do not need you anymore. Meanwhile, the Germans always going something like that. Look, we're in a crisis, so we will cut maybe 1,000 jobs here and maybe 500 jobs there. The Chinese, come out and don't even blink. There are a lot of you. Count 1, 2, 1, 2, and every 10th person out. And the funniest thing, they didn't even announce that they will do that. They just did that and then announced that. Like, yes, we fired 100,000 people from our company. They clearly understand in advance that subsidies will disappear and the situation will become critical. And why we should wait when we will get, losses if we can just in advance fire 100,000 of people, and there is just no need to wait of consequences of disappearing of subsidies. That is actually the correct approach how the business should work. You need to understand that companies do not throw just 10% of their workforce on the street for no reason. BYD had almost 1 million employees and now it's just over 800,000 people. It's still much. Any company wants stay people and work at their company as long as it's humanly possible. And if BYD is cutting 10% of their company before even seeing rent numbers in the reports, that means only one thing, that they know something. They know something and they are preparing in advance, and that's actually a good news. And from a good news in China to not that good news in China. In central China, hundreds of driverless taxis just shut down. Robotaxis belonging to Chinese internet giant Baidu suddenly just shut down. Suddenly stalled right in the middle of the road. Police said the cause was just a program malfunction. China has that autonomous taxi app that called Apollo Go, and it was operating since 2021. And at one point the cars just stopped where they were. On highway, on bridges, on parking lots. The cars slams on the brakes and just sit there. Apparently in some cases some drivers even ran into them and gave them a small part of body adjustment. The most important part is that nobody was actually hurt, even though some outlets were writing that the people were trapped in the cars. But in reality, the cars that were in highway, it was just scary to get out of the car because of the busy highway traffic that was going like a constant stream. It just was too sketchy to get out. I dug a little bit more, and do you know in which city did it happen? Wuhan. In case you forgot, in that city one particular person decided that it is a good idea to eat a bat, and then entire planet spent several years facing consequences of that person eating a fucking bat. So I would like now to make an official appeal. Maybe, just maybe, you people should stop experimenting in that specific city. One experiment already got out of hand and whole world saw it. So maybe let's just keep experimental zones in Wuhan and just experiment in some another cities, because the last thing we need in our world is a Robotaxi uprising as well. Pum pum. I would say just Jesus fucking Christ, BMW has won the World Car of the Year title first in 20 years. On one hand, you will be absolutely happy for them, but the winner of 2026 is actually just an iX3, an electric SUV. BMW can just go to hell for that. I mean, alright, overall, an iX3 won. Apparently that is the best of the best, the single greatest thing built on planet Earth, according to the journalist. But that's not really what really sent me off, just so you understand how ridiculous this circus is. In the category World Performance Car, the winner was the Ioniq 6N, that electric sedan liftback banana thing. A lot of outlets translated that incorrectly, because a performance car is the not same thing as a sport car. It's a separate categories. You know performance from every different angle. Last year the winner was the Porsche 911 Hybrid GTS. Just so we would never forget that it was last year. But there is a set of criteria. The one of those is that the car should be produced in units, in volumes more than 1000 units, so Ferrari can fuck off immediately, and the model has to be focused on driving, acceleration, speed, that sort of things. And do you know what else fits in this criteria? Yes, the new BMW M2 CS. And now you're saying me that independent journalists voted for Ioniq 6N instead of M2 CS in the performance car category. I refuse to understand that. You have a 3-liter engine, more than 500 horsepower, track prep, weight reduction, performance brake, aero. It is built for the track, and it loses in a car performance category to that electric half liftback sedan which weighs 2.2 tons. Screw all of that, I just have no words. And the electric iX3 can be thrown out there too. Best car in the world? Yeah, sure. Look at your previous winners while you on it. I don't even know anymore. And the next news that is connected to BMW is that BMW is finally killing the 8 Series. And yeah, good riddance. I just want to say that even though people think that that car is legendary, and in some way it is, but that car was produced in a time when marketers thought that you could just mass produce an entire row of almost identical cars, and the bigger car, the more money you will get in the end. Total nonsense, and the 8 Series is a proof of that nobody actually needs that car, and it's exactly why it was axed. Pum pum. Audi is bringing back A2 and it's going to be an electric car. Audi, just what kind of evil I have done to you? Just leave the corpse alone. Leave it alone, just look at it. We are reviving the brand and it will be called an Audi R2 e-tron. Jesus Christ, just why? What is the point in doing such thing? Alright, just let's ignore what that thing actually was. But why I trying to show something electric and compact in 2026? In autumn, are you once again planning to sell few thousand of units over a 2-year plan or so on? And then quietly fade away and pretend that they model was never in our line. That's the plan, right? Do I understand that correctly? Of course, the market is sitting there and saying like, oh look, it's compact. It's the next big urban throughout in urban mobility. It will be so convenient, so perfect. Range, money, efficiency, mobility, innovation. Just throwing some random buzzwords at the wall and pretending that everything will be great. Life teaches those people absolutely nothing. The premiere schedule for autumn before heating season in Europe. And in light of everything what is happening right now, let's be honest, there is no such thing that could make A2 become this roof-blowing blockbuster that people lining up for to buy that car. Maybe for a diesel generator, sure, but definitely not for A2. Nearly 100,000 of Volkswagen could catch on fire and a recall was announced. We're talking about the battery-powered ID models like ID3, ID4, ID5, ID Bus, those models. 94,000 cars carrying the battery may potentially catch on fire. But actually it's not that bad as sounds. Usually, how it happens. Automakers announce recall after somebody has already been burned to a crisp, after the customer is basically a barbecue. Here the situation is the opposite. Company found the issue itself, come to the service center, we will do some major tricks and we will fix it. In general, the fire risk is very low. The battery can just fast discharge and overheat, and after that it can catch on fire, but the chances that it will happen like really low. And the next story connected to Volkswagen is going to make rockets instead of cars. The German automaker has signed a contract with an Israeli company called Rafael, the company that is behind the Iron Dome system. To comment on this story is actually to ruin it. On the one hand, it's greens. How do you like that? Do you like 1.4 TFSI engine? Is it more dangerous than a rocket? That terrifying 1.4 TFSI, unlike the peaceful, blessed Iron Dome. And on the other hand, you look at the Germans and realize that they going into weapon production because apparently the car industry didn't make enough money for them, and you just sitting there and thinking, what a wonderful world we are living right now. And that's all catchy news for that episode. Anyway, I'm Horstorm, drive safe, and I will see you next episode.